7 minutes past 10 as promised, and he's delivered. He's come on time. Mayor of Wellington. I was going to say Mayor-elect of Wellington. Mayor of Wellington, Andrew Little. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Nick. Nice to be here.
How are you feeling?
Oh, good. No, all good. It's been pretty full on 3 weeks, but no, sort of feel like I'm getting the grip of things.
You kind of were, you're a little bit cagey when you come in. Are you worried about me? Are you worried about the radio? Are you worried about the job?
No, not at all. No. It has been full on, and still a lot to do. Still absorbing a lot of information. Just still getting the sense of things about the council and the council officers, and trying to get some stuff changed. But look, all the indications are pretty good at the moment. Really enjoying working with the councillors, but both the returning ones and the new ones. But like it's 30 days and we haven't been tested through disagreement yet, and we'll see how all that goes.
Well, I can say that we had Nicola Young as a guest on the show a couple of weeks ago, last week, and she was very, very positive. She said it's got a better vibe than she can remember. It feels good, and your leadership feels great.
Oh, that's good. Well, that's nice to hear.
And that's from supposedly opposition.
Yeah, Nicola's been around a long time, and I look to her for her experience and her insights, and she's been good. She's been very helpful.
Anyone that you feel, and you don't need to mention any names because I don't want you to put yourself in that position after 3 weeks, but is anyone you look around the table and you're doing your bit, and you're looking around the table and going, shivers, I'm not quite sure whether I could get them on board?
At this stage, 3 weeks into it, and we've had a number of sessions where we're getting briefings. I've got people have been really good, and I've got to believe in the best and hope for the best, and I'm confident that we will see the best. But look, we'll have points where we disagree at some point, and I've said to my colleagues, I said, look, we all feel good at the moment, but we haven't been tested yet through just a big disagreement over important policy. But that test will come. And it's how we handle that. And look, I'm just looking to everybody to understand. We're all there for the good of Wellington. We can disagree. We will disagree. It's how we manage that disagreement is going to be the critical test that's yet to come.
Give us a number out of 10. Give us a number out of 10. Looking around, you're sitting at the table. You're the head of the table, and you look around. You're a bright guy. You're a smart guy. You've done lots of big deals, lots of negotiations. You're a smart guy. Looking at the table, and you say, "Okay, I think I've got a 7 out of 10 council." Where's your number?
I'd say 8 out of 10. It's a good council. It's a good council. And the new council, what I am really impressed about is the depth of skill, and including for returning councillors, skills that I didn't know they had, I picked up through the one-on-one conversation. So I think this is a good council. I think it has huge potential, but we're 3 weeks into a 3-year term.
You're saying that a bit. I'm a bit worried about that 3 weeks. You've chosen Ben McNulty as your deputy. Now, there was a lot of rumours floating around that you were going to go, like you were going to make your first statement by going with somebody that wasn't a mini-me. Now, a lot of people were calling Ben McNulty a mini-me. He's a Labour guy through and through. He's a young version of you, isn't he? He's not the guy that's going to go out dancing on a Saturday night. He's got
a young family, so
but he's a young Andrew Little, isn't he?
Well, I'm not sure I'd say that. He's got experience that I don't have because he's been on council for one term already. He's got a set of skills that I think are really good for me. What's really important over the next sort of year or so as we sort of get to grips with things and consolidate and achieve change. He's got good networking skills. He knows everybody. He'll help me navigate through the council. That's what I need. But look, I've made all the appointments 18 months, including for the deputy mayor, and we're agreed there will be a change in deputy mayor after 18 months because I reckon the back end of the term I'll need a different set of skills, which is about consolidation and stability and stuff. So we'll do that. But when I look across all those
just
appointments...
pitched the Prime Minister's idea. You just went straight across to the right wing and you said, Christopher Luxon's done that with his deputies, I'm going to do it with mine.
Well, he's got to mention... I know, he's picked his deputies well in advance.
You copied the Prime Minister.
No, I don't know who the next deputy mayor is going to be after Ben. We'll see who that is. But there's a reason I made 18-month appointments, and that is I want to see how everybody goes. There's a bit of a performance element to it. So if, the ones who are doing well... they'll either stay there or we'll find better roles for them, and those who don't do so well, we'll have to find other roles for them too.
Can I just get the take of the council themselves? What did the council the councillors, the people around the table, make of your decision for the deputy?
Look, I sent it out the night before we announced. I sent it out to everybody. Said, look, I'm open to some discussion, and I had some discussions. I had some good, positive feedback. I had some discussions. There were a couple of minor changes made the following morning, and then I announced. I think what I was really pleased about is that, having shared it with everybody and said I'm open to some discussion, nobody went, off to the nearest journalist and spilled the beans on it. They actually engaged in it, and I was really pleased about that.
Right. When will you decide that who you're going to do for the next 18 months? Is it going to be like as you go through the first 18 months, or is it going to wait right to the end and then say, okay, let's just go this way?
It'll be closer to the 18-month period, yeah. Right. When everything's up, I'll be reviewing everything. Everything's up for review at that point, so yeah.
0800 80 1080 is the number. If you've got a question you'd like to ask Andrew Little, Mayor of Wellington, please do. It's not a discussion, it's a question. If you'd like to to ring up and give us your question, you can actually talk to the Mayor. How many places around the world can you actually ring up and speak to your Mayor? It's pretty good, isn't it?
Oh, that's a great thing about New Zealand and our democracy. And then whether you're in Parliament, you're a minister or a Mayor, we're pretty accessible, and we've got to hold on to that. That's really important. We don't, you see other countries where there's, politicians, people in public office are surrounded by phalanx of security people. They're not accessible. We don't have that. And I enjoy walking through the streets, walking on the waterfront. People stop and chat and stuff. It's great, and we got to hold on to that.
Are you still doing exactly the same? Are you still like going for your bike rides and walking? And are you still the same Andrew Little you were a month ago?
Yeah, I catch the bus most days. I have a really early start. I'll take the car, but I catch the bus most days. I walk everywhere I can through town, and as I say, wherever I can.
You catch a bus to work?
Catch the number 32 bus from Island Bay. Yeah.
I think that's incredible. I mean, Celia Way Brown used to ride a bike, didn't she?
Yeah.
I suppose. But still, riding a bike's a little bit more freedom than sitting in a bus next to a Wally.
No, they're good people. Good people.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but a Wally as in somebody you don't know have a clue who is. Not a Wally as in a Wally was.
It's also a chance to catch up. I can go through all the news feeds and see what's on, on NZME and what's on the stuff after, So I get to catch up on the news.
You'll be able to watch the video of you tomorrow on the bus ride in. I'm still finding that quite incredible. Let's take a quick break. Wellington Mayor Andrew Little is with us. He will take your questions, 0800 80 1080, or if you're not brave enough to speak to him, you can text a question through. Mr. Mayor, is there any truth in the rumour going around regarding a tax on empty bedrooms in the city of Wellington?
Oh, I haven't even heard the rumour, but certainly it's not. I'm not pushing any policy for a tax on empty bedrooms, no.
But you are pushing the policy of a
bed tax.
Huh?
Yeah. I'm going to keep to hook up with Wayne Brown and others. I just think, for a city that has a lot of visitors, we have conventions and all that sort of stuff, getting a contribution towards our infrastructure from our visitors is not a bad thing to do.
Have you had a conversation with Wayne Brown? Do you know him?
I know Wayne, yes. No, I haven't actually, since we've both been, he's been re-elected and I've been elected, but I intend to hopefully in the next few days.
One question that I had in my mind, when you had that forum where all the mayors had to come in, it was in Wellington, I believe. Did he come down for it?
No, because they're not member. Auckland pulled out of the local government New Zealand.
Oh, that was the local government.
Yeah,
okay. So, I thought to myself, he's too arrogant to come down and be part of that.
Oh, no, look, Wayne is who was Wayne is. When I was minister, I used to get the old text from Wayne full of advice. So he's always wanting to help.
All right, let's talk fencing. I walked along the waterfront yesterday afternoon. It was glorious. Went from here right down to round past Sky Stadium and back, and I saw that the fencing was starting to come down. Now, the coroner's advice was pretty strong, wasn't it?
Yeah, they suggested a number of things, but I think certainly of the most recent death, happened up around that Kumatoto kind of Queen's Wharf area, and I think there are danger spots there that need a permanent solution to it. But the fencing all along the front of Te Papa and all along around the other areas, I'm not convinced that needs to be there when there's good lighting. And at times we know there will be large numbers of people when there are big events. We can put in place, we can have security guards and others to prevent the hazard of people falling into the water. But the whole thing about the waterfront development, it was about getting people closer to the water. That's what people wanted. And so we need to be able to do that.
With that coroner coming out so strong, and I started, 2 years ago, I started really strongly on getting it fenced. Now I've swapped over and said now I don't want the fencing because it looks so ugly. How will we both feel? And I'm not just putting it on you, but how will we both feel? Because I've promoted getting the fencing down. You've watched it, you're overseeing it. If someone does drown.
Yeah, look, as I say, you look at the most recent deaths, they're at the area where there's narrow pathways and no protection from falling in the water. I think we do need to do something there. But
and a lot of alcohol sales around that area.
Yeah, sure. But those other areas, as I say, along between Chaffers Marina and right around, those are areas, big wide paths, good lighting now, much better lighting now than was before. They're places where people want to be able to walk and stand next to the water. And
you didn't really answer my question. How will you actually personally feel if you pick up, the paper or turn on to Newstalk ZB?
Look, we're not going to. If you think about hundreds of thousands of people who visit there every year and visitors and all the rest of it, look, we're not going to stop every single accident happening, and it would be very tragic if there were another drowning. But by and large, the way people use that space is responsible and sensible and safe. And I think we just need to get rid of the fencing.
And it's all gone by Wednesday?
This week, yeah.
This week. Yeah. I saw them madly bringing it all down. $39 million in unpaid rates. 7,800 people are behind. I think I'm 1 month behind on my water rate, so I'm probably one of those 7,800. The scary part of this was that there was no deals being done by Wellington when, the story was that a guy had a property in Upper Hutt and property in Wellington, got a deal done within a week in Upper Hutt, got nothing from Wellington at all, no even communication for 2 weeks. And then when he got communication, it was pay up or we're going to the banks to get the money. Is that the approach?
Yeah, look, it's not for me to talk about individual ratepayers. I mean, I think the council does have an empathetic approach to people who are in arrears. People can have life shocks, lose parents, lose others, and suddenly their life gets out of control. I think the council has a good track record, and people in those circumstances coming to the party, helping out. Where people have a track record of falling into arrears previously or being tardy on their rates, the sympathetic approach diminishes somewhat. So I think the council's got to weigh those things in the balance, and I'm confident that they do.
Under your guidance, will you think there'll be a fairer and more moderate way?
I think the critical thing is what that level of rates arrears shows is that people are struggling with the level of rates that they are, combination of slowly rising incomes and rapidly rising rates. So we do have to get rates under control, which is why we have a dedicated committee now looking at all these council spending. And we've just got to do better at our financial control. So there's that element of it. But in terms of dealing with people who are in arrears, as I say, I'm confident we're talking to council officers that we do have an approach that is sympathetic for people who have, those times in their lives where things do get out of control. But for people who have repeatedly had the experience of getting behind, then the level of sympathy falls off.
Okay. Now, you would have read the Dom's article on Saturday morning about 50-year-old Andrea, a real estate agent, was saying that 50-year-olds are making calls wanting to sell up and leave Wellington because they can't afford the rates. Personally, if I didn't have this job, I would be doing exactly the same thing. Rates are too expensive in our city.
Yeah, they are, and commercial rates too, and residential rates, and that's why, as I say, a very clear message from this election campaign to every council, every candidate was get spending under control, and that's what I'm determined that we do. And that work is getting underway immediately because it has to, because we start putting together next year's budget and therefore rate levels very soon. So we've got to do that work, but it won't stop. I mean, it's actually got to be continuous. Just talking to some officers this morning about some of the capital works projects. How do we stop those things getting out of control? So we're going to start that work as well. We've just got to get better at financial control.
And how are you going to do that?
Well, we've got the line by line review, looking at all operational spending. So are we everything we're doing? Do we need to be doing? I know the chief executive had already commissioned the review that he's done. I haven't seen that report. I'm due to get it in the next sort of 2 to 3 weeks. So we'll see where that gets. But what I'm confident now in my discussions with Matt Prosser, the Chief Executive, and others, is there is a real not only awareness of, but actually commitment and actually doing the stuff about getting cost out of the organisation so we keep that pressure off rates.
How many meetings have you had with Matt Proctor? How many times have you gone for coffee? Are you hanging out? Are you spending time together?
I see him most days. We were at the cricket together on the weekend. The day after the election, we caught up for an hour and a half and had a good long chat. But I see him most days. And sometimes it's in formal meetings, sometimes it's just him and me catching up.
Okay, and so your gut on that is your gut that he trusts you and you trust him?
Yeah, it's very good. The relationship's very good. I have confidence in him. I'm really pleased about the way the relationship is developing. He's very responsive to the things I've been asking for and suggesting we need to do. I think he's very responsive to other councillors too. I've had good feedback from other councillors. He's doing a good job and from everything I've seen so far.
Has he told you any stories about the previous mayor that he sort of what he had to put up with?
No, and I haven't asked. I wouldn't ask. I think, and I think he's very professional. I think the officers are very professional. And look, for all the criticisms that Tori Whanau has attracted, she did the job, and she's left the organisation ready for me to take over, and we're just now getting stuck into it.
Yeah, I was more meaning that different ways of running things from her to you. You know.
I think, certainly the feedback I've had is a lot of the staff have noticed a difference, and look, we'll just keep doing. I'll just keep doing what I think is the right thing to do and the right way to approach the job.
How important? Because I personally, as a Wellington, businessman and ratepayer, feel it's extremely important. The relationship between the CEO and mayor.
It's that critical relationship, and I'm very clear about that.
But do you have to be on the same page? I mean, he might be as right wing as hell, and you might be left wing as hell. Can you both be on the same page? And I'm not suggesting he is or you are.
Yeah. Look, I wouldn't know what his politics are. That's not important. What is important is that we have a professional relationship that is respectful of each other, and it is. And he understands what I want to achieve and is going about, making sure that we're doing that. I think in terms of supporting me to support other councillors, he's very much doing that. So,
who makes the big decisions? Is it the mayor or the CEO?
It's a combination of both. I mean, I think Matt comes to me with various things to check my thinking, to check my approach. I go to him. I say, look, I think this is what we really need to get this underway, get this going. And he says he might come back and say, here's one way we can do it. Here's another way. Here's that. We understand what the objective is, but his job is to help me find a pathway to get the stuff done that I say needs to get done.
Is he as concerned as you and I are over our rate bill?
Yes, and he knows that the level of rate increases is not sustainable, and he's concerned too about a perception that people are paying more and aren't seeing more for it. So I think he totally gets that.
Okay. And the commercial side of things, I mean, I've been involved in a little tiny commercial investment in Wellington, which I'm getting out of because I can't afford it anymore. Does he understand the extent of the pain that's going on in there? I'll give you an example from one of your hometown investors came to town to look at something, looked at it, and walking down the street, they told me they just looked at something and they said that the rates bill was the same as what he this is an investor from New Plymouth, was paying for a $7 million investment, and this investment was under $1 million in Wellington, and New Plymouth to Wellington. I mean,
and we know that, and we know that commercial rates differential is out of whack, and we've got to address that too. That's part of the role of this dedicated group of councillors is going to be looking at, because we've got to sort that out too, and all the other little add-ons that we've put on businesses too, to fund Wellington NZ and all those sorts of things. So all of that stuff is under examination right now with a view that we've got to make changes that's going to make it easier for investors to come to Wellington and invest in Wellington.
Can I just quickly say before we go to the news that I gave you a big tick, and I'm not going to try and be in your cheerleading squad, but I will be honest and upfront, like I was with Tori, that I thought that your post after the storms was amazing, saying, people in Wellington, get out and support your local businesses. Now, I, as a small businessman, and as a lot of people would have thought, hell, that's exactly what we want our mayor to be doing.
Yeah, and that's what we should be doing too, because we have those days where everybody stays home. Businesses in town, they suffer, and they got to. And I think about the staff too. There's a whole bunch of staff
They got their hours cut. They got university fees to pay. They got their hours cut.
I'm a union guy, and the approach I always took, look, if the business you're working for isn't making you a dollar, then your job's at risk. So I want the dollars to flow through because I want those workers to hold on to their job. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, great. Andrew Little, Mayor of Wellington. He's starting to excite me. That's a worry. He's starting to excite me. 10:30, time for some headlines. Hopefully he'll excite Max as well. Max will be here in a sec with headlines. Back with the Mayor after the news break. Andrew Little's in the studio for the next 25 minutes. I've just got a text through, Andrew. You'll love this one. Shame Nick has taken over the slot. What about hearing from the listeners' calls? Nick's overpowering this interview. 4 times in the last 28 minutes I said 0800 80 1080. If you've got a question for Andrew Little, the Mayor of Wellington, call up. Do you want me to do it again? 0800 80 1080. If you've got a question for the Mayor, please call up. Let's talk about your announcements of the new committees and their chairs. How did you decide that? How did you work that through?
I got I interviewed all the councillors one-on-one, so I went through everything. Some of them had written submissions about their backgrounds and skills and what they wanted and all the rest of it. I looked at all the committees. I looked at the existing committee structures. I looked at some of the priorities that I've got, getting finances under control, getting an economic growth and development plan in place. So I changed some of the committees and what they're doing, and then I just looked across, tried to fit in roles with people with the relevant sort of skills and background, and getting a bit of a balance across it as well. So I was determined to make sure everybody had something meaningful to do that fitted their skills and interests. Obviously, you can't meet every expectation of every councillor, but I'm confident that I got a pretty good balance there.
How do you decide which priorities what committees actually have to have your priorities? What committees are really important to you?
It's actually the one's a working group, which is the financial control and value for money group. That's been led by Ben McNulty and has a number of councillors on it, including Andrew Compton, accountant, he's a chartered accountant. And then the other is the group chaired by Carl Tiefenbacher, which is the economic growth and development. Council's got to have its own plan and strategy to support business and to support new investment in the city. And Carl's got that in spades, and he's going to be leading that up. In terms of other committees,
both of those are people that were making noise. Well, Carl stood for the Mayor, and Andrea made noises of it. Has that had any effect on you?
No, I take the view, look, the election's done and dusted, and now it's just about taking the talent I've got and slotting them into roles that I think they can do well in. And that's what that was about.
Okay, we have someone online with a question. Simon, you have a question for the Mayor?
Yes, hi. I have a question about the roads and footpaths around Wellington Railway Station and the Cook Strait Ferry terminals. Does Wellington City Council have any plans to improve that area? For example, where you cross from Wellington Railway Station across Jarvis Quay, it's a major road, and there's just in the mornings and peak times, there's a sea of people crossing there. Cars can't get through and can't get out of the Blue Bridge terminal. Right. And out of the Wellington Railway Station. I thought, gee, it would be great if they had a bridge or something to cross there. I was really pleased when they put a roundabout in just south of the Inter-Islander. Right. It makes it so much easier to get in there from the north.
Simon, what's your question? Is it? Do you want to see something actually happen?
Yeah, I was just wondering if there are any plans as part of I don't know whether you've got Get Wellington Moving or something like that to improve that area.
So Let's Get Wellington Moving is pretty much exhausted now. So because a lot of projects that were lined up kind of never got done, never got commitment. So we're sort of looking at other things. But I take the point that you make. It's something I'll have a look at. I'm not aware of any particular plans for any upgrades around that area, but I totally get the point that you make. I've seen people trying to get across there. There are pedestrian crossings up and down Jervois Quay, but look, happy to go back and see what, if any, plans there might be to make it easier for people to cross and cars to cross those lanes.
Thank you, Simon. 0800 80 1080 if you've got a question for Mayor Andrew Little. When we come back, I'm just going to take a short break. When we come back, we're talking about the committees and his decisions, Mayor's decisions on how he chose those committees. There's obviously a couple of contentious decisions that were made. We better talk about those, hadn't we? 20 minutes to 11. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We've got a question from Amila, who is one of our regular callers on the show. She can't talk right now, but she said the three of the biggest barriers to businesses are targeted rates, commercial rates differential, and the barriers to the front door because of cycleways using precious road space that at least off-peak could be used for parking. What are your thoughts on these large items hampering businesses?
Yeah, well, on the race differential and the targeted rates, those are all things that are under examination by the group of councillors I've set up to do that. On the cycleways and what have you, look, a lot of money has gone to cycleways. I'm reluctant to kind of throw good money after bad sort of thing. So we'll look at the cycleway network. I'm not planning on any big changes to it. If it comes to parking, I'm happy to look at ways we can improve or increase parking in whether suburban areas or the downtown area. But I'm not into ripping up cycleways that we've spent a lot of money installing in the first place.
Thanks for that. Now, back to our last little sticky question about your committees and how you put them together. Obviously, in the last couple of days, there's been a little bit of a backlash. You've been copying it a bit from your decision to have Ray Chung run a subcommittee in charge of council-controlled organisations.
Yeah, look, Ray's been duly elected. He's a duly elected councillor. I did make the commitment both during the campaign and since that I want every councillor to have a role where they're doing something meaningful, making a contribution. So Ray's got that group. That committee meets 4 times a year. It's providing oversight of the council-controlled organisations, so outfits like Zealandia and the Zoo and what have you. And their job is to look at the recommendations of a different outfit that makes recommendations for appointments to approve those. And that's it. It's really a chance for Ray to kind of demonstrate what he's up for and what he can do. But across all the range of appointments I've made as a whole, I think on balance it's the right place for him to be.
Do you think he's getting treated a little bit harshly? Is it just the story just won't go away, will it?
Yeah, look, this is the whole thing. What you do and what's on the record is on the record forever, and this is the world we live in now. But the reality is, since that time, he's been re-elected by the Western Ward. They've re-elected him. He's a duly elected councillor.
But that doesn't mean you have to give him a job or give him a profile or anything, does it?
I can't ignore the fact that he's been elected and that he's got experience. And so, like all councillors, everybody's got something useful to do. Every appointment is for 18 months. We'll gauge it after 18 months, see how Ray is doing, how anybody is doing, and we'll work it up from there.
Are you concerned at all about him? Does it worry you that, you've got 150 emails, so it's obviously that's a large amount of emails. I mean, I know there'll be a lot of women that'll be upset, and I get that. But
yeah, and I think what he did was pretty bad. Actually, was pretty bad. He's not the only person on that council that would have done something that would have been regrettable, in some cases hugely regrettable. But he has been elected, even in the face of that, known to the electors in the Western Ward, he's been elected. And so he's on the council, and I've got to accept that reality.
Only just.
Yeah, 45 votes. But 45 votes is 45 votes, and he is a duly elected councillor.
Yeah, I agree. And when I first saw it, I actually thought it was quite a smart move because he's the one that's been blowharding about what he can do and what he can't do. You've given him a position that he can actually make a difference if he wants to.
Well, I wouldn't describe it as blowharding. He's very confident about his skills. I'm going to put him to the test.
It was my words, not yours. I'm not trying to say you said he was blowharding, sure. But he was definitely out there telling everybody what he could do and what he couldn't do.
Yeah, and let's see.
Let's see. Mount Victoria Tunnel. Where do you sit with it? What's going on? What's the latest discussions? I mean, it's, Chris Bishop promised spades in the ground before the next election. That's coming around quick.
Yeah, so I'm supportive of the second tunnel. My support was based on that it's going to also allow for cycling, walking, and it is. So that's good. I think there's the second terrace tunnel as well. That's part of the project, and then they're routing it all through, Vivian Street and up Cambridge Terrace and all the rest of it. So all that's there. I've had one meeting with NZTA to basically tell me that. and I expect there'll be more. But I'm really pleased to see it. Chris Bishop told me that they've approved, that it's on the list of projects. They haven't prioritised those projects, so we don't know how soon it's going to be in place. But I'd be confident that the construction of that could start, within a year, 18 months.
The whole Vivian Street situation, it's bizarre, and I think I could be wrong, but I think we're the only major capital in the world. I don't think we're a major capital, but 400,000, the Greater Wellington area, whatever it is, to have State Highway 1 running straight through the middle of the town.
Built up area. I know, it is a bit weird. What are the alternatives? You could get a circuitous route that would go all over the place, very expensive, build a tunnel, even more expensive. It's the best solution to get something that will be usable in 5 to 6 years' time.
How confident are you that we are going to have the bulldozers? I don't want him standing there and you standing there and getting a photo taken with a shovel. I mean, bulldozers actually in the ground. How soon do you reckon it's going to be?
Well, it depends what decision they come up with early next year on priority, but the signal I get is that they do want this. And I would have thought for Chris and Nicola Willis, as the two senior government ministers located in Wellington, the Wellington region, it's in their interests to get this underway sooner rather than later. So I'd be confident we will see something in the next year to 18 months.
Take a short break and be back to wrap things up with Wellington Mayor Andrew Little. He has committed to his monthly meetings or monthly catch-ups on Wellington Mornings, as all previous mayors have done, until they get a little bit annoyed or agitated with me, and then they can, but otherwise they commit to it. So he's committed, and this is the very first one. We've got another one before Christmas. I won't dress up as Father Christmas for that. 12 minutes to 11. Last couple of minutes with Wellington Mayor Andrew Little. Someone's just texted, Angie's just texted and said, before the election, Andrew mentioned that he would review the bike lane outside the Botanical Gardens. It makes it very difficult to take your family there.
Yes, no, I did commit that, and I am committed to doing that too. I think access to the Botanical Gardens is really important, particularly for more elderly residents and citizens. That's an important place for them to be able to go. So I do commit to that.
One thing that you're going to achieve between now and Christmas, remembering that you're coming back in, so I'm going to hold you to account for it. You've got 8 weeks, 7 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever. Is there something that you are going to quickly, because we're running out of time, commit to actually changing?
Yeah, we are looking at parking, particularly parking charges, and so I hope to have something to say about that before Christmas.
Oh, no, they're not going up again.
Something positive.
Something positive. They're coming down. You don't want to comment. You're not going to.
I'm not going to take.
Can you give us the exclusive? Can you give us? When you actually announce it? Can you give the show the exclusive? We like having a little exclusive. We don't get them very often.
I'll do what I can.
Okay. Good luck. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
All things feel very positive. It feels like
that
you've come in and you've said what you're going to say, and you're fronted when you're supposed to front. So it's got a big tick from me.
Excellent. Nice to talk.
All right, you too.